Hey guys, it's Eric with Painting Business Pro, and this is the second video that we're talking about in this series, all about sales. If you didn't catch the first video, make sure to go watch it. That video, we just talked about the value of a good sales process. There are so many implications and so many benefits to a strong sales process that you just don't want to look past it. And the worst thing in the world that you could do is make excuses for sales or give up on sales or stop trying to improve on sales. You can always do a better job on selling. And over the next few videos, we're going to talk a little bit more about sales just to give you maybe a different perspective about sales because it's just so important. And we're in an industry where there's not a lot of professional salesmanship. So there's just such an opportunity to beat out the competition, and there's so many benefits from doing it. So if you haven't watched the first video, go do that now. In this video, we're going to talk about some common mistakes in sales that I tend to see with painting business owners. There's a few of them that I always see. So first, we're not going to get into tons and tons of detail in this video. We're just going to first talk about, hey, make sure you're not making these 4 mistakes, okay? So number 1, the first mistake is setting up the estimate, okay? The mistake people make is that they don't have a system for setting up a winning estimate. All right. And when we're training people on sales and we're training our team on sales, when we're doing sales, the initial phone call to set up the estimate is the absolute number 1 most important part of our entire sales process. When we bring on a new salesperson, we don't train them on anything else until their initial call is like solid. It's got to be really, really good. All right. So here's what most people do. Most people get a lead and they pick up the phone and they say, hey, John, this is Eric with Foothills Painting. I got your information that you wanted to get a painting estimate. Okay, great. Are you guys available on Thursday? Okay, how's 2 o'clock sound? Okay, great, 2 o'clock Thursday. And by the way, what are you guys looking to get done? And maybe you say a couple other things, but mostly people are just setting up a time for an estimate. Now, that's great. You've got an estimate set up. Hoorah. But there's nothing that you have done that helps you close the job on that call. All you've done is just set up a time to meet a guy. But there's no progress you've made towards closing that job. And so one way you want to think about the sales process that I was taught a long time ago is think about it like a football field. All right? You're the offense and you're starting on your own goal line. The end zone on the end of the field is closing the deal. And every time you interact with the customer, you are working your way down the field. So if you think about it, if all you do on that first phone call is set up a time, you're basically just still on the goal line. You haven't made any progress. All right. Now let's look at the other side of setting up a good estimate. The way we do that is it's about a 7 to 10 minute long phone call. And we start by talking to the customer about what kind of problems do you have in the house? What do you want to get done? Tell us about your project. Do you want to change the colors? Do you have an HOA? What concerns do you have? Have you painted a house before? When are you looking to get the paint job done? So we learn about their project. We also build a little rapport with them on the phone maybe. And then we explain to them the estimate process. It's an hour and a half long. We need you for 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning, 10 to 15 minutes at the end. We want to sit down, get to know what your needs and wants are. We want to walk you around the house. We want to identify those problem areas you mentioned and tell you what we recommend doing for those. I can also work up a bunch of different options for you to help you meet your needs and budget. Then I'll write up the estimate right there and I'll bring it back inside. I'll run you through it. I'll answer your questions. Right? So we're setting up this detailed process. Then we're talking to them about, is there anybody else who will have any input on this decision? Like the significant other. Most people aren't going to pull the trigger on a $4,000 to $5,000 paint job without talking to their significant other. So we want to make sure we set up an estimate where both of them are there so we can answer all their questions. Make sure we get them both what they're looking for. It's a big investment. We're taking a lot of time. We want to make sure that everybody's there. And then we go through and we double confirm the address. We double confirm the time. We send them to our website. We let them know about ways that they can save money by booking with us. By the time we're done setting up the estimate, we already have a relationship with the customer. We're way down the field where most people are still standing on the goal line. All right, so you've got to do an amazing job setting up the estimate. If you want to download our sales script, there's going to be a link below this video. Go over to the website and you can actually download the initial call script so you can see how we set up our estimates. All right, and that's just the beginning. All right, we've got there's tons more detail that we go through the rest of the process. But if you just do that one thing, just use that script that we're putting below the video, just use that, I guarantee your sales rate is going to improve from that one thing. All right, so don't make the mistake of just setting up a time because you haven't made any progress towards making that sale. it's going to be very, very, very hard for you to sell that job on the spot. Second biggest mistake is how people deliver the estimate. All right, so most people, from what I see, not most people, but a lot of people, I don't know what the percentages are, but I see a lot of painting contractors who don't deliver the estimate on the spot. You meet with the customer, you spend all this time with the customer, you figure out what they need, you figure out what they want, you build a relationship, you build rapport, and then you say, okay, cool, I'll email it to you later. And that is the worst thing you could possibly do. There's so much momentum you have built with the customer at the estimate. There's a relationship you've built. And if you just email it to them later, you don't have the opportunity to explain it all to them. You don't have the opportunity to make sure you got what they want and need. You don't have the opportunity to ask questions on the spot. And you entirely lose the urgency. All right, so we'll talk about another point in a minute, but we want to move these people to making a decision, and we're going to give them incentives and reasons to make a decision. But if you do an email bid later, you've lost a lot of your momentum. And it's going to take you more time now, because then if you do book the job, you have to drive back to their house again instead of just collecting a check right then and there. All right, so deliver your estimates on the spot. So what we do, we quote that, we walk around, estimate the house, we write up a contract right there in the car, we walk in, we run them through the contract, and we say, so if you want to go ahead and do this today, we can save you a little bit of money. Which option do you guys want to go with? Or where do you guys want to go from here? And we close the job on the spot. So if you're emailing your bids, stop it right now and start delivering on the spot. Your sales rate will go up. If you do this thing and you start using our initial call, you start doing this thing, your sales rate will go up. Number 3, biggest mistake, no call to action or no reason to buy. You need to give people a reason to buy. So let me paint this picture real quick. Your customers, when they talk to you and they set up an estimate, what's going on psychologically in your customer's mind is they're getting an estimate. They're just getting an estimate. It's kind of a casual thing. They're just getting an estimate. It's an estimate. They're not signing up. They're not booking a paint job. They're just getting a quote. It's kind of a casual thing where they think you're going to come out, you're going to kind of write some up and give it to them so they kind of know like, oh, great estimate. So then maybe they'll do it later or whatever. So most of the time, customers getting an estimate are pretty casual about it. Now, if your customer is pretty casual about it, it's really hard to sell them a job. So here's what happens is when your customer is ready to make a buying decision, right? So they've gone through all their processes and they're like ready to hire someone to paint the house. When they're making the buying decision, they are going to ask the questions that are most important to them at that time. So maybe they'll say, hey, so what's the difference between the warranties? Which kind of paint do you use? Can you quote this one? And does this include this? And what about the second coat over here? And can you throw in the deck? They're going to talk to you about the things that matter to them and the questions they have. If you don't give them a reason to buy, if you don't give them a reason to take your estimate seriously, then they'll just get a quote. And at the end of the estimate, when you deliver it, they'll be like, oh, whoa, we're not ready to make any decisions right now. Or, oh, hey, this was great, so we'll get back to you. They won't even take your estimate seriously, and you'll kind of have wasted your time. So you need to give people a reason to take your estimate seriously. You need to give them a reason to buy. So we give our customers 2 reasons to buy. And it's basically save some money this way and save some money this way. So the first thing is, I run a business and there's things that my customer can do for me that makes my job easier. And so if my customer can help me out, I'll help them out. So if you can help me with the schedule, I'll save you some money. So hey, Mr. Customer, if everything looks good and you guys decide you want to paint with us, right now we're trying to fill up kind of our April and May spots in our schedule. So if you decide you do want to work with me, would you guys be able to do April or May? Because if you can, I could save you some money because that would help me out. Yeah, we could do April or May. Okay, great, Mr. Customer. Then I can save you guys some money if you decide you can schedule for April or May. Now, just the fact that they can save money, they'll start taking the estimate more seriously because they want to lock in those April and May spots to save money. People don't want to spend the money on their house. They don't want to spend this money. So if there's an opportunity to save some money, they want to take advantage of it. So that's the first way that they scratch my back, I scratch theirs. If you can work around my schedule, I'll save you some money. Second thing that we do is I say, hey, Mr. Customer, if I come out there and I give you an estimate and you just love my estimate, it's everything you guys want, and you actually want to go ahead and just schedule with me, that really saves me time, and I'd be happy, I can knock some money off for you if you guys decide, the day of the estimate you want to go forward with this, which is totally true. Like, I'm busy. I'm running a business. I got a lot going on. I don't have time to follow up with 400 customers that haven't made a decision, and I don't have time to keep running all over town going back to people's houses. You know, if this customer's like 90% sure he wants to go with me, but he just wants to think about it, and so I have to drive and I come back the next day, that takes a lot of time out of my schedule. I would be totally willing to give him a little bit of money off if he can just make that decision right now. And so I offer my customers both of those discounts on the initial phone call when I'm setting the estimate and at the estimate. And by doing that, your customer wants to save money, and now your customer will take your estimate more seriously. They'll ask you the questions that are important to them, and it'll put them in a buying state of mind rather than a getting an estimate state of mind. It'll put them in a serious state of mind rather than a casual, I'm not making any decisions state of mind. And that alone will also improve your sales rate. So make sure that customers have a call to action. You can use mine or you can make up your own, but you need to give them a reason to buy, and the reason has to be some type of financial incentive. 4, relationships. If you're all business, then there's nothing personal about you. You're just the quote. You're just the piece of paper. If you don't build a personal relationship with a customer and you don't build rapport and you don't make friends with them, then when you leave the house, you are just this piece of paper, and they're going to compare your quote to another quote to another quote, and you will get beat by the person who builds a relationship. People want to buy from people. And so it's really important that you build an authentic relationship with people. Be a great person. Ask questions. Get to know people. Be genuinely interested in people and get to know them. And just building rapport and just building a great relationship will go a long way. And that's why it's important that you set up a good estimate, that you have enough time to build that relationship, and you have enough time to get them a really detailed and customized estimate. Now, there's a lot more to the sales process than just these few things. But these 3 things, setting up a killer estimate, giving people reason to buy, and building rapport, those are the 3 things that we focus on heavily with a brand new salesperson. And they go out there and they sell 30 to 35% of their estimates just with those 3 things as one of the higher prices. All right, so if you're making any of these 4 mistakes, stop it right now and go out and make some changes and see what it does for you. And I guarantee every single person that I've had this conversation with who started setting up estimates this way, started delivering their estimate on the spot, every single time their sales rates improve. All right, so those are some of the mistakes. Next couple videos, we're just going to keep talking about sales and see how else we can help you guys do a little bit better. And so we'll see you in the next video.